Good morning, students, viewers, and my colleagues. Let me recapitulate you people what we are discussing within this online lecture series. Dear students, we are talking about the concept marginalization, the chapter marginalization, understanding the idea of marginalization. And in the last subtopic, in my lecture second rather, I was discussing the concept of Adivasis, and I said to you people that how Adivasi is a collective term for the tribes of the subcontinent. And what's their population? What I said to you, let me refresh you and let me summarize. It is 8.6% the total population what the Adivasis are making. And from last couple of years, almost 200 years, we have witnessed the dramatic change within the lifestyle and the social milieu of their economic, the social and the political and their cultural life. There are different policies framed by the government time and again, different policies framed by the forest departments and the political pressures and the pulls and the private sector forces and the compulsions. Every time reduced and squeezed them to the peripheries. And dear students, the conclusion we have drafted there at the very particular moment, that was only one thing, that they are living on the mercy of those people who are at the helm of affairs. If we talk about their the northern India, where the Adivasis are predominantly residing, the areas in the northern area were predominantly taken by the military. They were militarized by the government of India, or the different dams were constructed by the department for the sake of irrigation. And if you talk about this national parks, the total number of national parks, what I said to you earlier, that is 104 national parks are in India. And if you talk about the wildlife sanctuaries, that is 534. But these wildlife sanctuaries, establishment of the national parks, that was absolutely on the at the cost of these people, at the cost of these jungle dwellers, people who are residing among these jungles. Government kicked them out, and if now the certain handful amount of the people who are residing there, and if they still remain there, they still try to reside among their parental and ancestral homes, the government calls them you are the encroachers, you are doing encroachments. So better is to kick them out from the shell. So this is what the lifestyle of the people of the my country, whom we call Adivasis, who are the part of my cultural heterogeneity, who are the part of my traditional reflection. So India need not to be portrayed the situation and narrate the picture like this. There needs to be something who needs to be addressed, who is going to address the problems of those very people. So there it was a brief summary what I was telling to you in my last previous lectures, 2 lectures. I refreshed your thought to memorize you people what we are going to discuss, what we have done, we have discussed it rather. So moving forward. Okay, dear students, now moving ahead, the subtopic which I have chosen from the same chapter, understanding the marginalization, that's today the minorities and the marginalization. Minorities and the marginalization. Minorities and marginalization. So dear students, let's first of all try to define the term. What does the term mean, this minority? So dear students, minority means the communities that are numerically small in relation to the rest of the population. Means those very communities which are numerically less in comparison to the rest of the population. For example, if there is a population, 100% population of a particular country, if 5% of particular people are representing the Sikh community there, it means that in comparison to the 95%, that is the majority, and 5% makes the minority there. So that's why I said to you that it defines the communities that are numerically smaller in relation to the rest of the population. So let's have a quick look here to one of the greatest eminent sociologists, namely Louis Wirth, how he defines the concept of the minority groups. According to this person, Louis Wirth, he says it's a group of people who, because of their physical or cultural characteristics, are singled out from the others in the society in which they live for the difference and unequal treatment, and who therefore regard themselves as the object of collective discrimination. Dear students, when we talk about the minorities, according to this great eminent sociologist Louis Wirth, he says that it's a group of people who are physically or culturally having the distinct physical or cultural characteristics, and single it out from the other in the society in which they live for the difference like unequal treatment. So they face the uneven treatment from the rest of the community, the rest of the society, and who therefore regard themselves, they after feeling the behavior and the conditions and the discrimination from the other parts of the society, they feel the collective discrimination. This group of people who are collectively uneven, who are unequal to the rest of the population, they feel themselves that we are separate from the other people because of their minority groups, because of their cultural heritage, because of their spatial identities, because of their minority rights, because of their minority behavior. They call themselves that we are the minority peoples, and collectively these people are facing the collective discrimination. They are feeling a collective discrimination from the people who are at the helm of affairs because they are in the minorities. So dear students, there are two opposite poles. One is the majority pole and second is the minority poles, right? So, but if you talk about what I said in my unit first, that the moment I was discussing with you people about the fundamental rights, the fundamental rights of my country, it governs and guardians. They are the custodian of all those people who are minority in group. There is no concept like this, someone is in minority and someone is majority. But the only condition is that are you the citizen of the country or is the citizen of the India? If you are the citizens of India, it means that there is a constitutional provisions, there is a constitutional safeguards and Indian constitutional guarantees to all those rights which the majority is enjoying and the minority is enjoying as well. So here I was trying to define the concept which we are going to discuss, that minority and the marginalization, how this minority group which is least numerically in number, how later on they becomes the affected, and we can call them, we term them that they are the marginalized. They are the people, they are the Adivasi likes, because their figure is low, because their ratio is low, because their quantity is low, they are numerically low, their figure is less. When this is the situation, they are termed as the marginalized then, because they are insignificant, they are decentralized, they are discriminated people, they are feeling they are living in the uneven atmosphere. So this is the way where we can say that how this minority later on takes a U-turn and they become the marginalized. Okay, dear students, now moving ahead, we are having here now another subtopic, that is the Muslims and the marginalized. Muslims as the marginalized. Muslims and marginalized. Do we feel that our Muslim community in India, that's a marginalized community? This is the thing which we need to discuss here, because in my earlier I was talking to you that how minorities are marginalized. Now let us see one case study from India, that's the Muslims as marginalized. If you talk about these students, as per the 2011 census, the total number of the population in India that is comprised by the Muslims, that is 14.2. That's only 14.2. In comparison to other populations, it's only 14.2. Now the question is, this Muslim and marginalization, as per the statistics, as per the figures, we are having the figures there as it's only 14.2% total population makes the Muslims. Do we feel that these Muslims who are minority now in comparison to the 100% of the population, do we feel that they are the minorities? Absolutely yes. Why we feel that they are minorities? Because take into the consideration their different social economic backwardness. The moment we talk about their social economic backwardness, the social economic backwardness lets them, and they tend to be that they are the marginalized. It's the marginalized section. Dear students, I do have here certain statistics that reveals that what are the conditions of the Muslims and in the particular scenario as per 2001 census. If you talk about here, let's have a look here. Access to the basic amenities. In 2008 and 2009, the statistics reveals that which community do have the access to the basic amenities of life. If you talk about here Hindu, they are having the Pakka houses 65.4, electricity 75.2, tap water 43.7. But in comparison, if you talk about the Muslims, only 63.8, only 67.5% electricity, and 35.8% pure water access. Down to the scale, down to the line, if you look at the 6, it's 91.3 Pakka house access. And if you talk about the basic amenities of the electricity, that's 96.0. Means that is the highest level of the electricity that which they are consuming, that they are having the access to the best electricity provisions. So dear students, thus we can say, taking into the consideration the deplorable and unpleasant conditions of the Muslims, we definitely then can say that the conditions are very dismal. So that's why we call them that they are the minorities and they are marginalized. I do have here the different statistics as well. If we talk about the literacy rate of the Muslims, all is 74% literacy rate in country. Hindus 63, Muslims 57 only. And let us see the Jain, it's 86% in comparison. If we talk about this population, the average, in average 86% population. This population of the Muslim Jains they are illiterate, and the Muslims only 57. Again, the dismal conditions. Dear students, if we talk about this public employment of Muslims percentage in IS, it's total population 13.5, IS 3% only, IPS 4, and in foreign service only 1.8. So in administrative service it's only 3. So this statistics reveals that this minority population is marginalized because the social economic conditions are very dismal. It's complete social backwardness. It's complete Muslim backwardness. Social economically Muslim backwardness, because the data narrates the story like this. Dear students, so they are lagging behind in every aspect, whether it is the basic amenities of life, whether it is the taking jobs in the public employment sector, or whether you talk about the literacy rates. Muslims are every time lagging behind. They are behind the target line. So taking comparison with the other communities like Sikhs, like the Jains, they are doing well. Their conditions are good. That's why they socially and economically Muslims seems that they are within the minority category. Now looking, dear students, now looking to the current particular this dismal and the very annoying picture of the Muslim community. The central government has high-level meetings, conducted a high-level meet in 2005. In 2005, they have conducted a meet, and they established a commission under this Rajinder Sachar committee. A committee was framed under this person, Rajinder Sachar committee. Rajinder Sachar committee was established in 2005. The condition of the concern of this committee, establishment of this establishing the basic essence of this established committee was only to review the Muslim society, what social, economic and political conditions are in the Muslim societies. Why this Muslim community looks to be a minority in nature. What are the social and economic conditions? Are they really living on the mercy of the people who are at the helm of affairs, or really or otherwise their situation is good? But the moment the Rajinder Sachar committee submitted this report, it debunked, the students, it debunked the various myths regarding this Muslim progress. They said that it's only the 7 to, if you talk about the average age, 7 to 16 is lower than that of the other communities. The one element was this as well, that if you talk about the 7 to 16 years age of the Muslim students, that's lower in academics and in schools. The ratio is lower in schools and academics in comparison to the other communities of the country. The behavior which the Muslims are facing, the Muslim minority is facing, that's not good. The Sachar community debunked, that's what they debunked the various myths. They deconstructed the various myths within the society, that the conditions whatsoever is going on in the country, that's not favorable for the Muslims. That's why it led the Muslims to talk that it's the Muslim minorities, and the Muslim minorities led to them the marginalized. The tag has been now changed now. Nomenclature gets changed day by day. That's the marginalized section, because the social, economic, political conditions are not favorable. They are not favorable as the way. Dear students, when these people are now, the Sachar committee provided its reports. Now what's the reaction overall? What's going on actually? The separate identity. The Muslims who live under the threat and under apprehension every time, they prefer to create their separate locations, separate identities, separate blocks, separate locations, what we simply call the ghettoization. It's called ghettoization. It's a process in which they try to establish their own locations, they try to establish their own vicinities, and they live separately from other communities as well. So, but that's not healthy for the country that's claiming to be the harmonious in nature, that talks to be a highly democratic in country, highly democratic in nature. So this ghettoization is definitely a question mark to the constitutional designing of the country and the democratic claim of the country that we are the highest democracy. When this almost 15% of the population feel themselves that we are ethnically, we are culturally, we are economically exploited by the people who are at the helm of affairs and who are in the majority section. So dear students, it was all about the today, that while we try to debunk the different narratives regarding this Muslim minorities, how this Muslim minorities living within the country, and how the majority is ruling over them. I hope you now have developed an understanding of this thing, that how this marginalization is not something that's a very simple tool, but it's a havoc, it's a wrath of God that kills a lot of people, and where the resources are alienated by the different of people, and they live on the mercy of the people who are at the helm of the affairs. Hope you have developed an understanding of this thing now. Hope we are going to join once more within the coming lectures to discuss the different aspects of the story as well. Till then, you just stay at home, stay tuned, stay connected, and take care. All the best.